Sorry. Are you talking about from
So you
2
say,
February?
so you say on 2 February 2015, I'm still at your statement at paragraph 8.4. Nowhere else, just only at 8.4.
Yeah, I'm there.
And yeah, and if you can read it in. The
Oh,
question,
that'll be
yeah.
much better. Thank you.
The question is relating to that
So
paragraph.
I could just read this in?
Yes.
Okay. On 2 February 2015, Paul O'Sullivan used my services on an ad hoc basis to assist him with some of his pro bono work, which he did under Forensics for Justice, NPO, a non-profit organization that identified elements of the criminal justice system that had been captured by criminals or politically corrupt individuals that serve unconstitutional agendas with the aim to protect connected criminals from corruption charges. Through the use of forensic investigative methods, Forensics for Justice is able to expose corruption in those who act corruptly, promoting transparency and accountability, and inevitably protect scarce public resources.
What were your responsibilities?
For Forensics for Justice?
Yes.
Gosh, so each case would come about in different ways. So either you would have a whistleblower that came to sit with Mr. O'Sullivan, and he would listen to what they say, and if they had documents, he'd have a look and see, is this something that we can put together or expose or open a case, and that's sort of how it would come about. It would generally be on something that we already had, where there would be someone that had come and given something, but I don't want to sort of admit that's the only.
You can give an example. I mean, what typically did you work on? You said you worked on an ad hoc basis for Paul O'Sullivan, for Forensics for Justice.
Okay, no,
and what for Forensics for Justice? That's where we are. We are at.
I understand, but remember, I did Forensics for Justice. This ad hoc work was from 2 February until May.
Yes.
And then I was employed at Paul O'Sullivan.
Yes.
So I'm just getting confused, if you just bear with me.
So on 2 February, when you joined on an ad hoc basis, which entity were you doing work on an ad hoc basis?
That would have been for Paul O'Sullivan and Associates.
Okay. In your statement, you say you did services on an ad hoc basis to assist Paul with pro bono work, which he did under Forensics for Justice. Yes. So you've read that into your statement.
Yes.
And my question is, just typically, what kind of work did you do? Give me an example of, if you can give the committee an example of what work was being done by you on an ad hoc basis for Forensics for Justice.
I think at that time it would have been research.
Okay. So when you joined.
Yeah, because I wasn't able to access certain things. So it would have been research or putting things into a spreadsheet or something like that, kind of.
Okay. And you then subsequently, we're now at 8.5 of your statement, because we're moving step by step. You then subsequently, on 1 May 2015, officially joined Paul O'Sullivan and Associates. Is it fair to say that what you had been doing earlier for the first 3 months was perhaps on a probation of sorts?
Yes, okay. I would say that.
Okay. So then when you joined Paul O'Sullivan Associates, Pty Ltd.
Correct.
What sort of work were you doing there? What was, like, just typically give us an assignment that Paul O'Sullivan and Associates would do. And if you could also make a distinction between the work that was being done by Paul O'Sullivan and Associates versus what was being done at Forensics for Justice.
All right. So there were 2 other directors at Paul O'Sullivan and Associates who were running their sort of own project, so to speak. So I was sort of if they needed anything, then they could ask me. So it would be research or putting a document together. You know, it was almost like a candidate attorney kind of a job. And then on the forensics for justice, it would have been the same thing. So if I was asked to do something, so I didn't have my own case or anything like that. It was it would research this or put a file note together or I don't even think I sat in meetings at that point.
Okay, but you were already a certified fraud examiner. That's correct.
On the 1st of May 2015, no.
You were not.
No.
Okay. You testified that you were interested in forensic work and your friend told you about Paul O'Sullivan and Associates because you had already been doing fraud, like that kind of work.
Well,
Had you received a certificate? Have you done the course? No.
No.
Okay.
I just found it more interesting. It was something that sort of stimulated my brain a bit more. You know, I can't really explain it, but
So at that point, essentially, you had joined without having done the exam yet, and you were basically doing work on an ad hoc basis, similar to a candidate attorney, whatever was required in the firm, research, you know, you would basically take care of it. And you didn't have, what was your specific role?
Sorry.
Your position.
It's all in my affidavit.
Yes. We are at 8.5.
It was legal researcher was the title that I was given on the.
Okay. So because you make a distinction between these two entities, your monthly salary, once you became permanent, who was it paid by?
Paul O'Sullivan and Associates.
Paul O'Sullivan, okay. And the work for Forensics for Justice was purely pro bono.
Correct.
Did you have to record your hours?
Correct.
Okay. And then on the 31st of March, we are now at 8.6. You say that you became a director.
Of Forensics for Justice.
Yes. So how did that move happen from you having been doing work on a pro bono basis for Forensics for Justice, and then you became a director a few years later?
Mr. O'Sullivan asked me if I'd like to become a director of Forensics for Justice and Paul O'Sullivan and Associates, and I accepted. I'd been there for 6 years, so I think I didn't see any issue.
Okay. We can now move on to the business of the day, which is why the committee has invited you to come and give evidence. We're going to jump a few pages, just a couple of paragraphs, and those paragraphs basically deal with what the work of this committee is, as you would see at paragraph 15. Not paragraph. If you go to your statement at paragraph 9, it sets out the work of this committee. So there's no reason to have to go through it specifically. So we are now at paragraph 17.
Yes.
Yeah. You testified that, well, you didn't testify, but you stated that the committee has called you because of the work that you were doing whilst you were at Paul O'Sullivan and Associates, particularly the investigations that you conducted regarding Mr. Phahlane, Mr. Phahlane's Stable Hill homes. home. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Phahlane testified regarding you accompanying Mr. O'Sullivan and IPID investigators to his Sable Hill home. In what capacity did you attend Phahlane's home, General Phahlane's home?
As Sarah Jane Trent, employed by Paula Sullivan and Associates. It's the capacity I went.
So you were in, and what was the purpose of the visit?
It was, so the matter was opened in the late Mantle Mahlangu and Timani Binang were investigators. And so usually what we do is just brief an investigating officer on, on a matter. And we just went to show the house, or sort of the scene of the crime, which was the house. And because that was basically the crux of the corruption allegation. Sorry,
It's okay. We can just break it down into
please,
smaller questions. If you look at paragraph 17 of your statement, you say that some of the work that you were doing at Paula Sullivan and Associates included forensic investigations, compiling criminal dockets, forensic reports, advice on evidence, and assisting branches of criminal justice system in investigations, providing litigation and support in fraud detection and prevention services.
correct.
Now, that is a mouthful, so we need to break that down. And the question that I've asked you was in relation to the work that you were doing at the time at Paul O'Sullivan and Associates. One of the projects that you were doing was investigating, assisting IPID in its investigations, and particularly into General Phahlane. And the question that I have for you is, at paragraph 18, rather, let's not have a question first. At paragraph 18,
Yeah.
it's headed Investigations into the Previous Acting Commissioner, Police General Phahlane.
Correct.
And if you can read paragraph 18.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry if. Okay. On 9 November 2016, Paul O'Sullivan and I met with two IPID officers, the late Mandla Mahlangu and Timani Binang, had requested our assistance in the initial stages of this investigation. I was satisfied that in terms of the Independent Police Investigative Directorate, Act 1 of 2011, the IPID Act, they were entitled to receive assistance in their investigations and were entitled to provide this assistance at their request. This included informing them if and when we had any new information, carrying out forensic report checks on persons of interest, desktop research, and consulting from time to time. And then I set out the section.
Okay. If you
of the
can just
act.
perhaps pause there, and then now we'll take it step by step.
Okay.
Now that you've remembered what you said, that statement.
Yeah, if you could just remind me to read from here.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm just wasting everyone's time mumbling.
Okay. So earlier in paragraph 17, you tell us that you were assisting various branches of the criminal justice system. Which branches particularly were you assisting?
So if I can explain, so when we assist a client or in a pro bono matter, we open a docket. And if there are certain people that we think might have information or a witness, we'll give them a call and say, look, we're investigating this, or we'll have people come to us and open the docket with the police. And then you get obviously a CAS number, and an investigating officer is then appointed to the case. We then contact them and say, look, if it's a client, we'll say, we've been mandated to do this. Please let us know if there's anything you need from us. We are whatever. And the same thing with the forensics for justice work. So when I say branches, it would be, so yeah, the NPA, it would offer assistance, but not guide them.
Okay, so you did work for the NPA. That's the one criminal system, the one
No.
just. Okay, and what else? Which other government or law enforcement entity did you do work for?
So I didn't say we did work for the
Okay.
NPA.
You assisted?
We said, look, we are certified fraud examiners. We were mandated to open this matter, if it's for a client, but on Forensics for Justice, as Forensics for Justice, please let us know. These are the services that we do normally provide. If we know that the state is under-resourced.
Okay, while still on that example, on the NPA, not that you did work for them, you would assist them. So you introduced yourselves as an entity that does forensic investigations. And what came out of that introduction with the NPA? Did you have to assist them in any operations?
No. Okay. So this is quite literally what we would do. I'd call them up or send an email and say, hi there. If it's a client, we're mandated by the complainant to assist in the investigation up until the time we need to open the docket. We are certified fraud examiners. And if you need any assistance, please let us know. That's pretty much exactly what we would say.
And then what would
and then
NPA,
follow up.
Yeah. What would
When I say the NPA, that's exactly what it was.
Okay. Let's work on an example, taking it step by step. So you would then approach the NPA and say to the NPA, we offer these services. We have a client.
No.
Okay.
We never, no.
Okay.
Quite literally, hi, we've assisted a client or as Forensics for Justice to open a matter. We have the capacity to do these things as certified fraud examiners. If you need anything or feel it is appropriate to ask, please let us know. Here's our card, or, quite literally, that is it. It wasn't, we want to run the case or.
Yes, no. I haven't said that.
Sorry.
I'm also not insinuating that. I'm just trying to run with your evidence, as you said. So I'm just piggybacking on what you've said earlier. And where I am now is that if we can just park at the example of the NPA, because I'm just looking for an example, right? And so you've testified that you would approach the NPA, and if I can read your words verbatim. We've assisted a client to open a matter. We have capacity, and if it is appropriate, please let us know how we can assist. The next question I have for you is, what would then come out of that offer?
Nothing. Normally, I mean, I've done a lot of cases, but
just on the NPA. Because I want us to just use the one example. I'm going to go to the next one after this. So on the NPA, what would the NPA then say as a response?
I recall the time of it coming. What's an example?
So while you think about it, this is all in line with what you've said at the previous paragraph, that you were assisting branches of the criminal justice system. And, and so the statement is quite vague, and it doesn't actually detail. I'm just asking about that. Like, if you can just give examples of the branches of the criminal justice system.
Okay. And then
that you assisted in investigations.
Yeah, that's basically what would happen. But usually with the NPA, I mean, they don't need any assistance. So it wasn't every case.
Yes.
So for example, I'll give the example of Phahlane. I don't even know who the prosecutor would be.
Okay. So who was investigating General Phahlane?
IPID.
IPID. Okay. Would that be now where you are at paragraph 18? So before we get to paragraph 18 and we deal with the specific example of General Phahlane, I was just perhaps asking this question, if you can assist the committee on you know, I think from line 1, 2, 3, like from line 4 of paragraph 17,
Yeah,
those would be your roles and responsibilities, what your role entailed within Paul Sullivan and Associates.
correct.
Okay, so if you could then maybe flesh out for us, what is it that you were doing? But the question is more linked to assisting branches of criminal justice system and investigations. Perhaps if you can tell us what you mean by that.
I think there's nothing really more. It would literally assist a client in putting together a criminal complaint that we would then assist them in opening a criminal case. Either the client or we would, depending, get the CAS number. They would then get an investigating officer and would communicate with the investigating officer and say, like I said earlier, if you need any, most of the time, yeah,
Okay.
not really.
Maybe,
So
maybe you can just list them without giving examples then. You can just list the different branches of the criminal justice system that you assisted.
so SAPS,
SAPS, yeah?
IPID, and then the NPA. But I mean, that was like really nothing. It was purely,
So those are the only branches of the criminal justice system that you were referring to, that
yeah,
paragraph.
yeah.
Okay.
As far as I can recall, what other?
I don't know, I'm
No.
not really sure what the
Yeah,
work
that-
does. Okay, that's.
Sorry,
okay.
you know what, actually, I should have been a bit more clear in that statement. I was just quite rushed and it kind of, I got it from a previous document and I thought maybe rather copy and paste it. So
No,
I'm not
Ms.
sorry
Trent,
for causing any.
No, you're not causing anything. Ms. Trent, your statement, together with your oral evidence, or together with your oral submissions, form part of your evidence. So what you may have left out, as you will see, the committee members will also invite questions of clarity where it's unclear. And all we are doing is going through your statement paragraph by paragraph. And you have a moment now to explain to the committee what it
Okay.
is that you meant. So it doesn't really matter that it's not in here.
Okay.
You can now tell us in evidence.
Okay.
Already.
I don't know if it's appropriate to ask. I forgot to add a place that I worked as well before I went to Paul Sullivan and Associates. It
Yes,
is in my CV.
Yes. You've mentioned,
I forgot.
yeah.
Oh, did I? We just didn't go through it now. Okay.
Yeah, because now we are
Okay.
past that stage. We are
Okay.
now at the stage where you are working for Paul Sullivan and Associates. Okay, if we can then go to paragraph 18. At paragraph 18, you talk about the investigations into the previous acting commissioner of police, General Phahlane. You've read the statement into the record. So if I can just maybe ask specific questions. Could you recount how Paul Sullivan and Associates, or perhaps Paul Sullivan and you, became involved in IPID investigations?
Well, it was just this. This was a criminal complaint made with IPID
By whom?
by Mr. O'Sullivan. He laid that complaint. A rather serious complaint against the head of police for South Africa, for the nation. And yeah.
And this was in November 2016.
Are we sorry, if you can.
It's in your statement. We
No,
had
no,
paragraph
I'm-
18. We had paragraph 18. We
No,
haven't moved.
I understand.
Yeah.
You asked me about investigations with
Yes.
IPID. So that,
You've answered. You said it was the only investigation.
yes.
I have here that this was a criminal complaint by Paul O'Sullivan in November 2016.
Can I just read this?
You've read it already into the record.
19.
Yes. No, we're not at 19 yet. We're at 18. Okay. What type of assistance did you provide for IPID at IPID's request?
We did searches. I did a lot of desktop research. So, and then it would be a sort of a file note on media articles or social media things, or go on Twitter and see what's happening. And it would be just a file note, and I would then send it. And then certain searches. So if they were doing an investigation and it led to something, I would do that. And
Okay.
which
From whom did this request